Yo guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be benchmarking Watchdog Legion on PC, running with my overclocked MSI Vanguard RTX 5090 graphics card and Ryzen 9 9950X 3D CPU. So firstly, as always, I'll start with checking the graphics settings really quickly. So we are running an overclocked RTX 5090 graphics card with a render resolution of 3840 by 2160 on my 4K 144Hz display. VSync is turned off, frame per second limit is off, field of view is raised to 100%, and all the advanced graphics settings are all ultra preset with 4-car headlight shadows, reflection is at the ultra, ambient occlusion and TA450 anti-aliasing, ray tracing is set to ultra, DLSS is currently off, we will test out DLSS quality a little bit later in the video, and extra details are set to 100% along with 100% temporal upscaling. So we're going to test 4K of DLSS quality mode, and then we'll test 1440p and 1080p native resolution, see how much it runs in place. Now for this title, I usually like to just cause pure mayhem. I'll crash into everything that is destructible, like the light poles, phone booths, and people, and we'll just cause a lot of mayhem to try to take FPS, and we'll see how everything runs in place. That's how I benchmark this title, and we will see how the FPS reflects here. This title doesn't seem to scale so well with the 50 series Blackwell cards. Like, I thought it would run at maybe 120 FPS, but we're barely skipping by here at 78 FPS average here at 4K native, so perhaps because this is an older title, it just doesn't very much so scale well with these newer cards. Probably gonna end up destroying this car by crashing into everything here, but we'll see if we can maintain as long as possible here. By the way, I also did test out 8K very briefly, and it was at 5 FPS, so I'm thinking with 8K, you'd probably need to use upscaling to run it, at least in this title. But I just want to note that it will be 5 FPS if I run 8K natively. And obviously this is kind of an extreme test because we're just crashing into everything. I think realistically, if you're just playing it casually, you probably wouldn't get this low of an FPS. This car's crazy though, it's got crazy traction. Ooh, that was a classic car. Okay, so 4K native, averaging 77 FPS, 1% latency at 63, max FPS of 87. Alright, now let's enable DLSS quality mode. Reset the afterburner.
Drone enter search protocol.
Like I said, probably pretty soon we're going to need a new car here, so let's go ahead and let's switch cars. This one's getting pretty smoky here. More of a luxury car. A little bit slower though. Bodies are just flying in the air. I'm such a menace. And if we see another car to switch over to something a little bit more faster, we will. So I'm trying to see where I'm going and monitor for nice cars. We like those fast vehicles. Always get that need for speed, if you will. One stutter there. Now, because I have DLSS quality mode, maybe we could briefly test out 8K with DLSS quality mode just to see if it'll run. But 8K native, like I said, it was around at 8 FPS. grab this car. I think I like this one more. I'll take that. Okay, so 4K DLSS quad mode, averaging 109 FPS, 1% lowering at 79 or 80, max FPS at 129. Now we still have DLSS quad mode, so I'm just going to very briefly turn on 8K to see if that will allow us to run it here. Hopefully this won't kill the stream here. Yeah, it looks like we're still only getting 5 FPS, so yeah, it's just not doable. For some reason I thought 8K was working before, but I guess now it just doesn't like it for some reason. Alright, so we're going to go down to 1440p native, and then we're going to turn off DLSS quality mode here. So we 1 month monitor to respond. And let's turn off DLSS. Reset the afterburner. And then we'll do 1080p native, and then we'll just be just about done with the benchmark. Yeah, I like this car. It's kind of got a V8 snarl to it. Kind of reminds me of a Jaguar. Jaguar / Aston Martin, probably. I'm such a menace. Poor people are sweeping the streets, just walking, going about their business, and you got this maniac crashing into everything that he sees. Brutal.
All units, possible suspect or suspects reported near your location. Received. Moving to intercept.
You gotta admit, these vehicles are pretty tough. If this was Grand Theft Auto 5, this car would have blown up probably by now. The sounds of all the poles getting destroyed. It's crazy.
Terminating pursuit and coming back.
Barely have the torque to pull through all these objects here. Yeah, that's definitely a tough benchmark there. So 1440p native, averaging 105 FPS, 1% lowering at 74, max FPS at 131. But yeah, like I said, this one doesn't seem to scale very well on 50 series cards.
All units, I repeat, all units. We have reports.
Alright, so now let's lower down to 1080p native here. So 1920 by 1080p, 1 moment for monitor to respond. Sometimes I get this when I do 1080p, it just doesn't like it, but let's see if that worked. I guess it worked.
Hostile in your area. Over.
Understood, control. Awaiting further
Reset the
instruction.
afterburner.
Over. Suspect crossed the checkpoint.
And yeah, like I said, I guess this title doesn't scale very well on the newer 50 series cards. I thought it would run better, you know?
Any other patrols have
1080p is a pretty low resolution, and we're barely averaging 108 FPS. It's kind of interesting, so I guess these older titles don't exactly run the best as they probably should on these higher end cards. And if I remember correctly, I could have sworn I was able to do 8K on my 4090.
Let's put out an APW. We're getting
Perhaps something changed with the title's coding, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem to be running here on this card. But it is good to benchmark these other titles, that way you know how these modern GPUs run on these older titles. You would think with the ray tracing it would actually be able to use the power better, but I guess not. But it looks like 1080p native, averaging 109 FPS, 1% listing at 76, max FPS at 133. And now, as you can see, we have some rainfall here, so let's go back to 4K native. Reset the afterburner. These poor people. But I think that gives you a good look at worst case scenario tests in Wasog's Legion. If you did enjoy the video and all this mayhem, do give this video a like. And if you want to see more content like this, more RTX 5090 game benchmarks, feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching, appreciate all support. Again, that brings to you Wasog's Legion on PC. Stay tuned for more videos as always, and I'll see you guys around. Thanks for watching, peace out.